tutorial of Atomic Kotlin, and today I'll be talking about the most amazing concept, that is list. I think everybody who is doing programming in any language, Kotlin, Java, maybe Dart, anywhere, you will be using the list, right? So what are these lists? A list is a container. Actually, it's a container. Just think a list as a box, which holds other small objects, right? It's a container which is actually an object, but it holds other objects. So that means a object holding, it's like a big container object holding other small objects, right? So this is the basic fundamental concept of list. So the containers are also called collections. So we need a basic container. For example, in this book we normally use the list, right? Lists are part of the standard Kotlin package, so you don't need to require any import while using this list. So you don't need to import any packages, right? Because it's already built in the standard Kotlin library, I mean like the package. So guys, the like if you check out, these are the same simple examples. Like if you just want to create a list, you just have to write list of and just pass the values that you want to provide. And whenever you see the output is always in this format, right? With the like a box bracket and all the values that is provided here. So you create the list here, and the output, you will get the output in this format, right? So there is also actually the another interesting things, like actually the index always starts from 0, right? So that's why if you try to uh, like uh, try to get the index of the list, your container, that is the index number 3, it will give you the index array index out of bound exception, because obviously the index starts from 0. So the third item will have an index of number 2, right? So um, that's the interesting concept. And as you can see here, a list usually use square brackets when displaying itself. So you can also use loop for iterating in your list, and for so each uh, index I just means the value of that item when you iterate it. I will be just discussing this much better when we will be solving the exercises. And also, the interesting concept is you don't need to declare the val I or give its type, okay, because it is like automatically detected by this loop, okay. So loop identifier. And square bracket index into a list keeps its element in the initialization order, and you select them individually by number. Like most programming languages, Kotlin starts index at element 0, right? As I was telling you, so index always starts from number 0. So that's the another interesting concept. And also you can have you can see the other examples right here. Like you can have a list of different types, like a list of not only the list of integer, but also a list of doubles, as you can see here, list of strings. And yeah, you can also sort it, reverse it. You can take the first one, you can take the last one of the, okay. So list of some useful functions like you can check out here. So you can pretty much sum also, like some important functions, some built-in functions that is provided for list is like you can pretty much sum up the list. If it is a double or an integer, you can pretty much find out, like you can sort the proper you can even pretty much sort the strings. You can pretty much reverse the strings, like your list, right? You can sort the list, you can reverse the list, you can just find the first item of the list, you can take the last item of the list. That's it, guys. So they are pretty much built-in functions that you can equal, your list, right? You can just pretty much check your list with another one, and that's it, guys. So pretty much these are some built-in functions, like extension function I should say. And now, yeah, you can also have a infer type where you don't provide any kind of parameter like the return type, and you can have also explicitly typed list where you just provide the type and you explicitly want this list to be of this type, right? And you can pretty much also explicitly return type, like explicit return. You can just also parameterize the explicit return type in this way as here, right? This is explicit, this is inferred, so it is like not explicitly defined the return type what you really want, right? As here, as you can see here. So there are also some kind of list which are mutable. That means you can pretty much mutate the list. That means you can pretty much modify the list, okay, the existing list. You can add, pretty much do some interesting things there. So this is also another example of the mutable list. And finally you have the yeah, the multiple list reference. So you can pretty much have the multiple reference, like for example, if you see the first one is a mutable list but the second one is not a mutable list, but the second one, like the second one is actually consists of the value of the first one. So for if you modify the first one, obviously the second one sees the changes, right? So this is called like multiple list references. So that's how it works here in programming language. So I don't want to actually, if you want to learn more in depth, you can pretty much check out this blog. It's really interesting, and I will just provide the link you right in the video description. But before that, let's go and pretty much solve the exercises, because by solving the exercises we will be learning much better, right? So this is the interesting, this is the main concept of this tutorial. So solving the exercise together and trying to uh, learn by solving the exercise. So let's solve the first exercise. So the exercise says is like the Kotlin standard. Okay, the Kotlin standard library contains many functions that work with list. It's educational to implement some of them by hand. So write a function find max that finds the maximum value in the list of natural numbers. So we have to find the, you have to pretty much do this like implement this function to find the maximum value in the list of natural numbers, positive whole numbers. If the list is empty, returns 0. So find max takes in list as a parameter. This is an example class in the starter code that only allows you to iterate over the list contents, get its size and access number by index. So if you check out this in list, it is pretty much like it's a class, that takes the list of integers, and which is pretty much iterable. That means you can iterate this one, okay? And yeah, pretty much you can just return the toString. You can get this, get the item and just get the size of this list, right? So let's solve the exercise. So okay, the concept is pretty much like if pretty much like the list dot size equals to 0. If it is 0, then pretty much return 0, right? As you can see here, if the list is empty, return 0. So that's it, the list is empty, that means the size is 0 and we return 0. So the second one is like we try to pretty much iterate, right? So we iterate I in list. So this I is pretty much like the each item of this list, so this means pretty much 1. So I want to also provide the result, right? The result I want to put as a initially as a 0. So what I will do here is like I want to find the maximum, right? So the maximum will be if I is okay, let me think how to find the maximum. If I is okay. If I is greater than result, then result equals to I. So let me put it like mutable. This is a mutable variable. So and then we pretty much return the result. So actually this is the interesting concept, right? If you can understand this, this is what I'm doing, as I'm pretty much iterating each items. Okay, each items I'm iterating, and what I'm doing is simply I'm saying if the first item is greater than result is 0. So if first item, this is 1 is greater than 0, so obviously now the result will be 1. So now it will iterate the second time, so I will becomes 2. So 2 is greater than result is 1, so obviously, so now the result will be 2, right? So similarly in this pattern it will try to find out the maximum. Yeah, so that's it guys. So let's try to check it if this is pretty much working, if our solution works. Yeah, that's correct guys. So this is the pretty much the solution of finding the maximum value, okay, using the list and the iteration, right? So this is the list I provide, and I pretty much, yeah, pass this list, which is pretty much iteratable, and then yeah, I find the maximum value by just looping and just checking, conditionally checking and assigning the values, right, and returning the result. So that's it guys. So let's try to solve the another exercise. So now in this second exercise, what we have to do is count the number of times a given element occurs. Okay, so here we have to pretty much count the number of times the given number occurs in the list. So it's like 1, 2, 3 and 2, right? So what we have to do is we have to count how many times, like for example this is occurred how many times, this is like, you see this is repeated, right? So we have to pretty much find the repetition and find this count. So how can we do that guys? So if the proper number is repeated, see if number 2 is repeated, how many times we have to just check it. So it's also pretty simple. Like what we have to do is pretty much for loop I in list, that's it guys. And okay, we have to return the integer, right? So okay, sorry guys, like this is it. And what I'm to do is like pretty much result equals to 0. Okay, so occurrence, like how many occurs. So if I equals to the number is this number, then result is like, sorry, every time I like just unmutable, then you return the result, right? Return the result. So that's it. It seems like pretty simple guys. So what I do is I just instantiate a result value, result variable, and then what I loop it, I try to loop the in the entire list, and then what I check if the number, if this number, if this in for example 1 is equals to the number that I provide, that is 2, then I increment it. No, it's not. So it will just skip it. So now it goes to the, so the result will be 0. So if 2 is equals to the number 2, then yeah, it's increment by 1. So yeah, similarly it will work. So I think let's check this solution if it is working. Yeah, that's correct guys. So also we passed this exercise. I hope you understand it. And now let's try to solve the final exercise, which is like, I mean like, no sorry, it's the third exercise. So it says that write a function to determine whether two strings are anagrams. So what are anagrams actually? So anagrams is a word formed by rearranging the letters. So actually pretty much like you are arranging the letters of the different word using all of the original exactly ones. So pretty much you arrange the word and like you try to find, like for example thing and night is like are anagrams, because you see every letter single word like T is and H ing is present here. So T H ing are present here, so this is anagrams. But if you check out, this is not an anagram because POTS and POTS is present, but S is present twice here, so it's not an anagram, it's false. So yeah, in this way we have to try to write a generic function that will check if this string that we pass are anagrams or not. Okay, so how to solve this exercise? Okay, so there is a small trick actually. You can just find the trick here in the hint. It like you pretty much compare to okay, but before going through the trick, what can we just try to let's analyze it. Okay, let's first analyze it. Okay, so what is the condition? The condition is like we have to pretty much find out like if all these numbers, you know, if like 1 2 3 4 5, all these numbers, all these sorry all these characters are presented, even if you jumble this, like it can make a new word. So and also this like is like another word like in a jumbled order, right? So it's the same characters present also here, but it is jumbled, so it is just put in different, placed in different order. So how do we create a generic function that will check that if this is a anagram? How can we do that? I think the most interesting concept will be as we are sorry as we are using the list, obviously the we will be we will need to convert this to list, string to, obviously string to list, because this is a string you convert to the list. Now you can use different so this is the idea. The idea is like we convert it to the list, because if you convert to the list, list provide us multiple kind of extension functions, right? So with this list you can do many things, like you can pretty much as you can see here in the examples, like we had like so many things we could do. We could sort, we could reverse it, we could take a first item of the list, we could take the last item, right? We could sum it. Okay, so this kind of interesting things we can do it using this if we convert to the list. But if we have just the string, then you cannot do it, right? So this is the idea. The idea is like first convert this string to the list, then you can pretty much I think sort it. So the idea is also that is that's the idea. So you sort it, and then pretty much you when you sort it, because whenever, even if it is jumbled, if you sort it you will just find the exact like for example the sorted of this one and the sorted value of this one will be the same, right? So we will then finally just you can pretty much return the if string 1 equals to sorry string 2, if this is true or false, it's just written here, right? We just know it by just sorting the values, so if they are equals. And I think this is like pretty much short and sweet answer of how to check the anagrams, right? So yeah, you can pretty much run and check it here, or you can just directly check the answer from here. Okay, so let's first check and run it. Okay, so I think everything is correct, so we can also pretty much check the answer here, checking the solution. Let's see that if it is correct. Yeah, it's correct, guys. So finally this is the pretty much short and sweet answer of how to check the anagrams, right? So by using the list, as I was explaining you much better. So now finally let's try to solve the final and exercise. What it says is mastering the IDE, like integrated development environment. So this time we are going to master parameter info. So how can you use this parameter info? Is like by using the command, it's like command P in your keyboard, okay, if you are using the MacBook. So, or the parameter info action, check parameter names and type the corresponding arguments. This action convenient is very convenient when you are typing arguments and want to check which argument to expect at the current position. So which argument to expect in the current position. So if you just type command P here, you can pretty much find which arguments or type you want to just are expecting here, right? uh, so that's it, guys. And also with the sub list, you can pretty much command P here, from index to index, like you see. Sorry, there's P, command P, okay, pretty much. So you see the type is like these are the parameters and the type is integer. Okay, guys, I think that's it, guys. So that's it for our tutorial. So hope you like it, guys. And if you really enjoy such kind of content, please consider subscribing it. And it will really make me like really happy, and like I would really be happy if you really subscribe it, and so that I can continue it further, creating much interesting tutorials. And so I'm gonna wrap up everything, and catch you later, guys, for our next concept that I will be talking about will be variables, right? So thank you. Cheers.